Ones and zeros are more influential than many people know. In this dawn of the information age, it's easy to forget how the phones in our pockets or the watches on our wrists are said to have just as much power as their larger ancestors, like the machinery that landed mankind on the moon. In fact, it's common nowadays to download entire bookshelves worth of data in minutes, or have a face-to-face conversation with someone across the world seamlessly, without your average person truly thinking about how it all works. Looking at the bigger picture, humanity has been incrementally improving our technology for decades, starting from the popularly sold Altair 8800 in the mid-1970s, which was 17 inches thick, going to smartphones such as the Google Pixel 3 in the late 2010s. We've traversed through many technological downfalls and deficits to allow ourselves to design and use what would have been considered science fiction only 15 years ago. Though there were commercial and industrial computers before it, the Altair 8800, created by the Micro-Instrumentations and Telemetry Systems Company, is well known for being the first personal computer to have a considerable stake in public interest. The Altair truly saw its growth in popularity after soon-to-be founders of Microsoft, Paul Allen and Bill Gates, created the Altair Basic Operating System to make the personal computer easier to use for ordinary consumers and computer enthusiasts alike. During this assiduous period of the 1970s, many more people were gaining interest in the possibilities that personal computers would create. Communities such as the Homebrew Computer Club began to appear and expand for enthusiasts who had genuine deep interest in the blossoming world of computer science. Enthusiasts then admired computers such as the innovative and intuitive Alto computer by Xerox, which was one of the first personal computers to feature heavy support for graphical user interfaces, or GUIs. The Alto's use of a GUI provided a fundamental aspect of how computer enthusiasts then, and everyday people now, interact with computers. Among these enthusiasts was Steve Wozniak, who soon began work on the Apple I computer to reveal to like-minded members of the Homebrew Computer Club and the computer science community. With about 88% of Apple I computers being sold, Steve Wozniak and his marketing partner, Steve Jobs, had gained the attention of the industry and the start to an unimaginably successful company. IBM, officially known as International Business Machines Corporation, soon followed suit with the triumph of personal computer creation with their IBM 5150, released in the year 1981. Similar to Apple and MITS, the IBM personal computer redefined how man interacted with machine. The company boasts it offered 16 kilobytes of user memory, expandable to 256 kilobytes, 1 or 2 floppy disks, and an optional color monitor. IBM obtained help with their production of their computer by involving Intel, another massive company specializing specifically in computer microchips, and Microsoft, which had now grown to a software company that staffed over 30 people. These successes for computer companies grew through the 1980s and well into the 1990s. While more focus was placed on the development of separated computer systems in the 80s, the 90s had a tremendous growth of interest and development in interconnectivity. This decade saw the creation of utilities such as the internet and tools such as electronic mail and the World Wide Web. The creation and public use of these new technologies were arguably one of the most influential steps in the overall development and adoption of the personal computer by many people of the general public. Now, in the 1990s, the internet allowed anyone who used a personal computer to go beyond document creation, financial analysis, or mathematical calculation. The internet opened the door for many areas of communication, sharing, and discussion without having to physically speak to or be in the same room as any other person.
You've got mail.
The creation of different varieties of websites, such as virtual chat rooms, stores, and popular frequently updated journal entry type web pages known as blogs, soon became a new and promising craze among both everyday consumers and financial investors.
No technology in history has ever spread so far, so fast, to so many people.
Shepard says the new economy is not immune to old-fashioned downturns, but says the internet is revolutionary.
The dot-com bubble burst is widely known as a huge, widespread failure of the digital age, shifting people's views of how much they could truly rely on technology that, mere decades ago, had been in its rough, industrial, and largely developmental stage. By November of the year 2000, $1.7 trillion of the $2.9 trillion peak in the stock market had been lost, leaving investors hesitant and pessimistic, tech companies with far fewer sources of income, and customers with far fewer products and services to procure from the recent digital surge. Prior to the start of the 21st century, there were many tech flops in terms of both hardware and software for computers. However, it was practically unheard of to witness such a large and unanimous fallout. Without funding, many Silicon Valley type companies struggled to make the same innovations they had been before the stock market crash. Most tech companies affected were newly found businesses dependent on one website. However, computer science juggernauts such as Microsoft and IBM didn't escape the dot-com burst unscathed. Surprisingly, Microsoft appeared to be more resilient than IBM at the start of this new decade, seeing as they released multiple landmark products and services in the aftermath of the dot-com burst. This includes the first Xbox video game console, making virtual entertainment more accessible to your average consumer, and the Office XP and Windows XP softwares, which once again gave consumers an unprecedented set of digital tools to support them in more business-type jobs, and an overall technologically improved operating system software to run it on, respectively. IBM, however, faded into unpopularity as a personal computer developer. The role IBM played in the industry is quickly being forgotten to this day.
And we are calling it
Only a few years later,
iPhone.
the iPhone by Apple redefined how closely people could integrate their lives with the personal computer. The iPhone allowed for buyers to interact with several well-purposed applications by simply touching the screen with their finger on a device so small that it could fit in the pocket of their pants. Apple was the first to set this modern precedent for the smartphone, and the idea has only become more popular ever since. Almost every consumer product onward from this huge triumph of 2007 adopted this touchscreen technology. A larger, yet similar form of devices called tablets soon followed suit, which are larger smartphone-style touchscreen devices optimized for areas such as business or art. In addition to this relatively magnificent increase in innovation, social networking apps increased the popularity and practicality of these personal smartphones and laptops. Websites such as MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube allowed everyday people to share their daily lives with the rest of the world using a personal device and digital account on that personal device that adjusted to fit their personal preferences. Windows Phone tried to follow in the footsteps of Android and Apple iOS devices by integrating the Windows software platform that millions of people were already comfortable with into the smartphone experience. However, the new smartphone brand didn't last long, ending its production and support just 7 years after its 2010 creation. We are now caught up with time in the 2010s, where we have fewer obstacles in the road, most of them being financial, legitimately stopping the progress of the personal computer. Recent noteworthy triumphs include smartwatches and smart speakers, and a huge recent tragedy includes Google's attempt at smart glasses, dubbed Google Glass. Many people agree that Google's idea to transition the smartphone to be an attachment to wear on our face was just too early for its time.